All that's introductory, and then it gets good. Verse 7. If you had known me, you would have known the Father. And from now on, you know him and have seen him. What in the world? If you had known me, you would have known my Father. What does that mean? I have been showing you what Daddy looks like from the moment we met. From the moment you laid eyes on me, this is what Daddy would do. I'm how he would walk. I'm how he would talk. I'm how he would act. I'm how he would answer your questions. I'm everything that the Father would be in earthly form. That was Jesus. If you've known me, you would have known my Father. Now listen to this answer. Verse 8. Remember, it's just a big conversation. Verse 8. Philip says to him, Lord, show us the Father. That's sufficient for us. God bless you, Philip. Good try. Did you catch what Philip did? Okay. Get through all the gobbledygook, Jesus. Just show us the Father. That's good enough. we don't need to know about mansions and going to prepare a place and ways and truths and lives. Cut through all the mess. Show us the Father. That's good enough. We're done. Boy, he's just like a lot of Christians. I mean, we don't need any theology on it. We don't want 10 verses. Just tell me this in a nutshell, put it in a box, and I'll take it. And Jesus says in verse 9, I love, what an answer. Jesus said to him, have I been with you so long, and yet you haven't known me, Philip? Can you go back one screen, Amaya? Can you go back to verse 8? Lord, show us the Father, and that's sufficient for us. Now watch Jesus answer. 9. Have I been with you so long, and yet you haven't known who? Does that answer the question? What was the question? Show us the Father. And Jesus says, have I not been with you so long, and yet you haven't known me? Why didn't he say, have I not been with you so long, and yet you haven't known the Father? He is just now transitioned his audience into where he wanted to get them. Remember what he said in John 14:1. Let not your heart be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me, because in my Father's house are many mansions. If we're not so, I would have told you. Then there's this line of fathership, and they're not even listening anymore, because all Philip's doing is sitting there scratching his head going, if you just show us the Father, you don't even have to tell us all this other stuff. And so Philip jumps in finally, raises his hand and goes, just show us the Father. That's sufficient. That's all we're really looking for anyway. And Jesus says, Philip, have I not been with you so long, and yet you haven't known me? Philip, do you realize what I've been trying to tell you for 5 verses? You believe in God, believe also in me, because I and the Father are doing a work, and I'm the only way you're ever going to know him as Father. Why? Because I am the Father. You catch what Jesus is doing? Have I been with you so long, and yet you haven't known me, Philip? He who has seen me has seen the Father. So how could you possibly say, show us the Father? I don't know about Philip, but I think my head would have hung. I went, that's a, yeah, sorry. Verse 10. Do you not believe that I'm in the Father, and the Father is in me? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak on my own authority, but the Father who dwells in me does the works. Now I hope you can see what I believe I can see, what I believe I can see in the Spirit. Jesus is trying to take us from a place where it's Jesus and the Father, and he's trying to at least get us to where it's Jesus as the Father. But I believe he's trying to do more than that. I believe he's trying to do more than just be Jesus as the Father. I believe he's trying to tell you we were always the same person all along. It's not me and the Father think alike. It's me and the Father are alike. There is no such person as Father sitting over there. Father has been sitting in front of you this entire time. Do you see this? Do you not believe that I'm in the Father and the Father in me? The words that I speak to you, I don't speak in my own authority, but the Father who dwells in me does the works. 11. Believe me that I'm in the Father and the Father is in me. If that's too heady of a concept, Just believe for the sake of the works themselves. So if you can't believe that me and the Father are one, Jesus says, just believe because you've seen stuff that nobody else can do. Now try to ask yourself how we were able to do them. If not for the Father being in His Son and the Son being in the Father, or them just being the same person. Verse 12, we're getting there. Most assuredly, I say to you, he who believes in me, the works that I do, he will do also, and greater works than these he will do, because I go to my Father. Now, you don't have all the information yet in this verse. This is a setup verse. For more information is to come later, but it's a promising one. He just told you, I say to you, if you believe in me, then the works that I do, you're going to be able to do, but you're going to be able to do even greater works because I'm going to get out of the way. That's what he said. I'm going to go to my Father. I'm going to get out of the natural realm so that you can do greater works. Now, how is it possible? Please go with me on this. Some of you are going to know this answer before I even get done. But how is it possible for us to do even greater works if He leaves? I mean, this didn't make sense to His audience. Can you imagine? You mean to tell me we're going to do better if you leave? Are you nuts? We do worse every time you leave. Look at the disciples' track record through the Gospels. We're not good without you, Jesus. We're lost without you. And you tell us that if you leave, we're going to do better? We're bad when you're in the other room. I mean, and I'm looking into the future a little bit from this moment in John 14, but if you'll go with me. You go pray, we go to sleep. You go to sleep, we panic in the boat. Are you catching a trend here? There's more. We could go on and on. Suffice to say, for time's sake, how is this possible? Knowing how bad we are without you. I hope you can see Jesus is leading them to a glorious conclusion. 13. Whatever you ask in my name, that I will do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. Again, we don't have enough information yet. It's a beautiful promise, but we need a little more, so Jesus keeps talking, and so will we. 14. If you ask anything in my name, I will do it. 15. If you love me, keep my commandments. I got a message from a pastor friend recently that said, he's preaching grace, and he said, John 14:15's got me hung up. He said, Jesus said, if you love me, keep my commandments. And he said, how do we preach this in the light of grace, seeing as we don't preach the 10 Commandments anymore? And I said, well, the key there is Jesus said, keep mine, not keep Moses's. And so the difference is, if you go back into John 13, which we don't have time to do, we've already went back into John 13 once. We can't go all the way back. But in John 13, just before we started reading this morning, Jesus said, my commandment is that you love one another as I have loved you. So then in John 14, same conversation, he says, keep that commandment I just told you about. What was it? Love one another as I have loved you. If you love me, then love each other. So that's verse 15. If you love me, then love each other. 16, that's just practical advice for Christians. And I will pray the Father. Now here it comes. We're getting there. I will pray the Father, and He will give you another helper. Why does He say another? Because I was your first one, and you didn't use me very well. Now He didn't say that. That's my addition there. He's not a condemner, but I'm thinking Jesus is going, man, there's been times you didn't use me very well. I'm going to give you another helper that He may abide with you how long? Forever. Why does He say He's going to abide with you forever? Because I'm going to the cross and I'm going to vanish. Don't worry, I'm going to come back. That's resurrection. But then I'm going to get out of the way so that you can do better than you've done with me here. I'm going to give you another helper who's going to abide with you forever. 17. The Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive because it doesn't see Him, nor does it know Him, but you know Him. Oh man. The Trinity is about to come into full effect. You ready? Watch this sentence right here. You know Him, for He dwells with you, and He will be in you. He dwells with you now, and He will be in you then. I got to get out of here in the natural. Because if I keep sticking around in the natural, you're never going to grow up. I'm going to go to sleep in boats and you're going to freak out. I'm going to go to prayer meetings with you and leave you alone by yourself and you're going to fall asleep. As long as I'm here, you're never going to grow up. So I'm going to get out of the way, but I'm going to come back. Did you see it? I'm going to give you one who you know Him now. He dwells with you now, but He will be in you then. I hope you just saw that Jesus just tried to tell you, I am the Father and I am the Holy Ghost. I am the Father, I am the Son, I am the Helper, the Spirit of truth. Why does He call Himself the Spirit of truth? Because in verse 6 He called Himself the way, the truth, and the life. How can He be the truth and then He sends off some different Spirit of truth? He gets up to heaven and Him and the Holy Ghost give each other a 5 as the Holy Ghost jumps over the balcony of heaven and comes down to earth while Jesus stays up in glory and watches from afar. Folks, come on! If He is the way, the truth, and the life, then He is the Spirit of truth. It wasn't a cosmic high five and Jesus says, now you go down there for a couple thousand years and then we'll link up later. Help them out while I'm up here. No, no, no. He always wanted to get out of the scene in the natural so He could come on the scene in the spiritual.